This review has been approved by Lord Carnage.
Banished from Earth Classic Game Room broadcasts from the Intergalactic Space Arcade on its never-ending mission to review everything. It's classic game room time. Prepare to shoot things with lasers like snowmen and the Kool Aid Guy in Fantasy Zone gear for your Sega Game Gear. It's not just Fantasy Zone, it's Fantasy Zone gear on the Sega Game Gear. Featuring the Opa Opa, is that how you pronounce that thing? The spaceship. This is like a trippy, happier version of Defender, called Fantasy Zone. I love the title because Fantasy Zone could either be a strip club, sports bar, or a 1986 Sega arcade game. Heck, you could combine the three if you get creative, but this one is just the arcade game, and one of the features I love is that you collect coins after destroying enemies that you can then spend on weapon and ship upgrades. So I usually go for increased speed and the back shot, which is handy because it's really easy to fly into enemies, especially when you're playing Fantasy Zone through a viewfinder. It's a fast game, the controls are touchy, and like most Game Gear games, the quality depends largely on the screen condition of your Game Gear. They don't waste any screen real estate with the score. You'll get that after you complete the game. And what you do is you blow up the enemies and all of the sub-bosses. Once these sub-bosses, which are the larger enemies, are all destroyed on each level, you then fight an end boss.
Fucking a hamster ball.
And now I'm being attacked by a bunch of eyeballs, which is par for the course in Fantasy Zone. May I suggest spending some money on a shield as soon as you can, and the sub-bosses or the larger enemies resemble the Kool Aid Guy in this level. Fantasy Zone is pretty well known for being a good Sega Master System game. I actually don't have a copy of that one, and I've never seen the arcade game either. I've played this before on, I think it's in the Sega Genesis PS3 collection. It's a cool game, and the Master System does a nice job handling Fantasy Zone. The controls aren't bad either once you get used to them. They're touchy, but these kinds of games often are. There's lots of weapon and special weapon and various missile and bomb options to go with. Plenty of replay value here. It's a great game. I'm not sure if this is the ideal way to play it. Certainly not through the camera viewfinder. That makes it next to impossible. But it's still 1,000 times easier than Defender. But Defender does not have snowmen. You can fly left or right in this game. That's where the Defender similarities end, to be honest. Fantasy Zone is a very fun game, very cool if you like spaceship games. And you can pick this one up on numerous game systems, including the Saturn and Virtual Console, so says the internet. Great music, love the backgrounds and the enemy designs. Fantasy Zone rocks. There's no doubt about it. And this copy of the game was sent to the show by Felicity from Worcestershire, England. So thank you once again, Felicity. Also check out the beautiful box art and packaging. This one is a nice addition to any Game Gear collection. Fantasy Zone! While I'm recording this, I have a question. Is there a Game Gear TV adapter for the Master System or the Genesis? Like the Game Boy player for GameCube? Anyone? Anyone? Maybe there is. In the Fantasy Zone! Ha ha ha!
No.